Yo, it's your boy Kamal Hart on the chart. As you can see, we have our lines on the chart. I was going to do the video from here, but I think there is a lot of value when you have no preconceptions about what's going to be coming later. So I'm going to turn off the bar counter so you can't see the bars. And we're going to go ahead and clear our screen. And we're going to start the same way any trader would start at the beginning of the day. So let's say you got here at 6:05. The first things you're going to note are that there's a range. Well, it's kind of like a nasty day. So on a day like this, I walk in and see this and I'm like, yo, first of all, I'm going to downsize to 2 contracts because it's not particularly clear what's going on right now, whether it's a range or an uptrend. So I'm just going to start small so I can give myself some room to see what happens and not be forced into a large loss at the beginning of the morning and then have to fight and stuff back. So as a prelim, I'm going to go ahead and put a line here and a line down there. There's a couple. I mean, there's several significant lows. Like there's one right there. There's another one there. But the thing with this is that although I like this tight one, I either like to go really tight or really wide. I don't mind too much the things in the middle. I'll pay attention when the prices get there. But for now, I'm just going to make sure that I have a pretty wide, because in theory, by the time it gets down here, you should be looking for a buy. And up here, we're trying to sell it back down. So this is what we're seeing initially. I think it's fair to note that we're kind of in an uptrend. Maybe there's something like that. And I like it more if it fits nice on the tops. See how it touches the tops 3 times? That's really good. So we can use this as an uptrend to kind of keep in mind that if prices are going to keep going higher, they're going to be going higher on this line. Okay, so we got a big red bar, no trade. It's nasty. It's so close to this line. Let's see if something sets up on this line and we can go long, or if we get a little bit higher up in here and then we can go short. Okay. Hey, it's okay. Let it go without you. That's totally cool. Now you're getting higher low. I'm starting to consider this trade because once again, we're really looking at a range, but for sure at this point we're in the middle of it. So it's an aggressive trade if you're going to take it. But if you're feeling aggressive, and it's 6:24, so the market is about to open, it's kind of risky. The next thing I see, though, for sure, is that we're getting a micro trend happening right there, just off that lower high. So let's see if this line can hold prices. Okay. So a big move down. Okay. So we're just going to let that play out. Starting to get our first bounce back in this area. That's cool. But it's actually a second entry, ironically, going long right there. Super aggressive though. It's right into that micro trend. A lot of selling pressure. It's too early to think about buying. And you would have lost. It would have ticked right back on you. Okay. Here's actually where I made my first trade. And I'm actually going to be honest and say that this trade was a bad trade that I took. I just kind of got a little too aggressive. Not a good trade. We can all see that there's these dojis This area is looking like congestion. So I went long when prices broke above that doji. Um, and even the signal bar is pretty trash, to be honest. The only thing that I was liking is that we were kind of congesting at the bottom here. So that probably would give us a move to the EMA. But there's so many reasons why that was a terrible trade, and I paid the cost for taking a terrible trade. So I just exited um, on this big red bar. That's what I used as my signal bar. So I just exited one tick. So hey, you win some, you lose some, that's fine. The key is that, if you're going to do something aggressive or dumb, um, be smart and exit where you're supposed to exit. If you're right, it's going to go. If you're wrong, that's the only thing I can control is how much I lose. Cool. So it keeps going down. That's fine. In fact, crazily enough, just because I was thinking long, I didn't see the short. I mean, you could take that, but I'm going to be clear and say that's probably too aggressive. Actually, just to be fair, even though this trade worked, for the same reason I wouldn't want to go long, it's kind of the same reason I don't want to go short. Um, just being honest. So I would let that slide. Okay, so we're getting closer to the lows of the days. Our first bar now is breaking above a previous one. Not a good signal bar, no trade yet. When we got this bigger bull bar, I went ahead and entered. This actually isn't even a great trade either, but at this point, I was really looking at it as a move down, a breakout side, move to a new extreme, and we were going to test this breakout area. So I got in. Once this bar closed, bullish, I just got in right there. And I'm just expecting it to come touch this line, or hopefully it can come to this other side as well. But I kind of, because my signal bar was so weak, I entered this trade with a very with a halfway conviction. Like I wasn't trying to get a full scalp. I definitely was just like, hey, if we can touch this line and I can get, you know, two ticks, that's dope. And we got up there, but we didn't close. So at this point, I'm trying to see, okay, are we going to get a close up here? And we broke below. That's fine because my stop is one tick below this bar. So my stop would be right there. So yeah, I don't like seeing the pullback, but now we just wait to see what happens. And then we get an inside bar. Nothing really to say on there. We're still waiting. We got that matching low and then a nice strong green bar. That's a pretty good sign. At this point though, I've been sitting through this congestion and the pullback. I'm pretty ready to exit. And on the next bar, I'm able to get out with the scalp back at the high that we tested over here. It's interesting. Notice how we're not closing above the EMA yet. So that's just something to keep in mind. And that's where I exited on my second contract. I wasn't ready to hold more, so I just exited both contracts with the scalp. Then we get that big red bar. That's cool. At this point, though, what you should be thinking is we're going to get a move higher, hopefully to come test this other side. By this point, I've already, I would just take it off your chart because it didn't help you much. But sometimes I leave it on just as a reminder of kind of where my thought process was at certain points during the day. But at least, you can make it a little bit less clear so you don't have to focus on this much. So in general, when I see prices here on a day like this, I'm expecting that we're going to come back up to here. So I'm just waiting for the setup that allows me to enter with the best probability. And that came on this bar, because if you look, you're going to get our new low, the first entry, and then a second entry, and it fails, right? It went lower once, went higher, went lower twice. It broke higher. I would have loved it more if it closed higher, but I was able to enter on the close. I let it break and then I watched it close and I just entered on the close. And, I like doing that because otherwise I would have entered on this open of the red bar or one tick above there. So I would expose myself to almost 3 more ticks of risk when the bar doesn't even end up staying above this red bar. So at least here I'm able to control the risk of this trade, even if it is, I wouldn't say early, but the setup isn't that great. Okay, get a little push, a little pullback, big push, and this one was weird too when this one happened because I guess news came out, but this bar happened really fast, like really, really fast. So it was like going to my stop and then just reversed. It's funny that rarely happens. Like extremely rarely happens. It's always the opposite. So it's kind of cool that for once it worked in my favor. Okay. Get a big red bar. At this point, prices are moving quick. Like, see, this bar was 659. This was 7. This is 7 and 34 seconds. So these bars are happening in like 30 seconds. So it's going pretty quick. That's where I exited my second contract for this trade. I just saw it going up. I had a kind of like a profit marker in mind. And once I saw it hit that, I think I was cool. I should have waited for a swing or something or a specific target, but my target was about 3 points, and this was 3 points and a quarter. So I was cool with that. See, but now we're getting that push higher. So we're wanting to see if it's going to come up here, right? Got a little inside doji, first pullback. This is an interesting setup because it's a higher low with these matching tops, or it's a matching high, and that's really, really bearish. And we're so far away from the EMA that you really shouldn't be surprised if this thing pulls back to the EMA. And once again, these bars are happening now. These bars are about a minute apart. These 3 bars happened within about 3 minutes. But like I said, over here it was going on in like a minute. This was like a minute. So it's slowing back down a little bit, and when you get these crazy spikes, it usually like takes it back. So that thing pulls back, pulls back, pulls back, pulls back. I mean, this is a strong move. There hasn't been another entry, unfortunately. It's like if you didn't enter there, if you didn't see this one as a short, which is, it's okay. It's just the context is pretty bad. You're in the middle of a range. If there's one place you shouldn't trade, that place is in the middle of a range. And you're pretty much there, trading it back down to the low after we just came back from the lows. Expectations are that it's going to move higher. This time it didn't. But if you didn't see it like that, there's really no other. I mean, this short, you're going right back into the support. That would have been a little too risky. So all you can do now is just make a little trend line. All you should do now is make a trend line and see if that you get another opportunity off this line, or when it breaks, you get an opportunity to try it again when it retests. Okay. So now even our range is starting to get broken. We're starting to get, a deeper level. So I would come over here and measure our range. It's basic geometry. Measure our range that we have initially. And I would just move it to the bottom like that, and then you can see that that gets us somewhere, a target down there at 30.71, and maybe a middle target right before the lows where there might be some support. So it's kind of how I'm messing with that for now. If you want, you can start to make this a little lighter so it's not in your way. Because at this point, something different is happening, right? We're getting moves lower, we're getting lower highs. So lastly, you might even bring this trend line and see if you can go off there. And then, like I said earlier, I really like it more when it fits nice on the bottom as well. Not quite there on the bottom. We'll see what this does for now. So we have a micro trend going down. We have a big channel going down, and we wait. That's a double bottom. I don't want to go long though, right into this micro trend. But now, when we start to get another sell signal, I'd be willing to take it if we don't break these lows. And we broke those lows. Never mind. Keeps going. This one's a big one. I also, this is a huge move. One way to be a little bit to anticipate this move is once you started seeing it go down. I mean, you only think about it sometimes after the fact, but let's say we go back and it just started doing this right there. Once you start seeing it do this, look back to see if there's any other legs that were in that same direction and measure it from the top, just from this wick to wick, or the close, doesn't really matter, and then bring it over here to the tops. And that's going to give you a target. And see, that's amazing. The target is the channel. Look, it ends right there on the channel. So when you start getting confluence like that, that's a good sign. That's a good sign that you're probably on the right track. So let's see if we get a bounce somewhere off the trend line or around this 30.7250 level. Okay, moving down, got that double bottom, still kept going. Okay, boom, we hit our target and we hit the trend line. It's gonna keep going. First green bar. At this point, you're kind of not in a great place to take any trade. I wouldn't suggest going long just because there's so much downward pressure. It will pull back eventually, but you're really better off just to see if you can get short while it's moving lower. So let's see, like the next place I'd be looking for a short, if I was to take a short, is going to be the midline. Just created it on the spot right there. And so what I'm trying to describe with this is that it's moving down. Yeah, you can get aggressive and try to go long. I'm not going to talk much about that if that's what you're trying to do. But I think the safest thing to do is to wait for it to pull back to our EMA, this gold line, or wait for it to pull back to our middle line. And if you get a technical setup on these areas, I would go short. Unless we get a reversal pattern. And I'll show you, if that reversal pattern comes, I'll show you what I'm talking about. But now that we are down here, we want to be careful getting short because we're going to expect prices to come back up to this top line. So in order of priority, this is where you want to get short. And yeah, you're going to have to be patient. You're going to be pretty patient for it to come all the way back up. But when it does come back up to this line, boom, that's the top place where I want to get short. The next best place I want to get short is the EMA. The next best place is going to be that middle line. And if it's not any of those three options, we're going to sit on our hands. Okay, so we're pulling up. Got that first pullback, break above. So if you're an advanced trader, you might see this trade. That's a long. I just said don't go long. If you're advanced, there are a lot of reasons why you're going to go long right there. But for now, what we're going to say is that you see how we made a newer low, moved higher. We tried to go back to that low, but it reversed. That's telling me that, okay, maybe some momentum is building this way to the long side. We're not going to give it a micro trend yet. We're going to wait to see it break this swing and close above that area. Boom, very next bar it does. So right there, I'm going to give it a micro trend. And that's going to be our guide as it moves up. You might not even necessarily want to take too many trades off that line, but it'll just be your guide to give you a framework as it's moving up, getting to back over to this this top trend line. Okay, it's holding. Got a little break outside, and then move down. And this is kind of what I'm saying with, unfortunately, this wasn't a good signal bar for the short. But that's what I was saying about going short, is that when we were looking at our short priorities, our priority was to go short at this line, the EMA, or the midline. When prices did get back to our EMA, what did it do? Gave us another surge down. So I wanted to have entered this trade, but you can see how the structure and the way you think about price action can really help help you find trades that, you know, like for instance, there was no signal bar, but just because you got that touch of the EMA, that's kind of guiding you. But still yet, let's see if we pull back up to here or there. Okay, we're testing our lows, double bottom, bounce. Damn, we bounced off the lows. Perfect bounce. So, and then another bounce off the lows. I mean, shit, I might want to go long right there. It's a little aggressive. Let's see if that works. That you know, I don't always pre-screen these charts, so I'm not sure sometimes what works and what doesn't work. The reason to not like this trade is that we're just, you know, there's some downward momentum. So if prices break above, we'd enter, but if prices don't break above, we probably won't be entering. Okay, you get the break above, it's creeping up a little bit. You need one more tick and you get your scalp. Okay, you would have scalped. So this trade would have worked. Like I said, I didn't even know. I wasn't sure if that would work or not. But, you know, you had this low. It came to it once. It bounced. It came to it twice. It bounced. That's probably a sign that it's going to get some strength to the other side. And it doesn't give you much more than that, at least off the initial pullback. So from here, we're just waiting. And you can see now how, even though we do have this downward momentum, in this specific area, since what was 712 to what is now 742, you are getting some congestion. Like this is a little mini range, you know, like a little mini range is going on. It's kind of nasty. And that's what I was alluring to like earlier when I said I'm going to not trade as many contracts today because this is just really, it's really messy. It's going to be hard to find good trades in this. So Once I start seeing it get messy, then it's just like, yo, if it's down here with a good setup, maybe I'll buy. If it's up here with a good setup, maybe I'll sell. But I'm not gonna stress too much trying to like do a bunch of crazy, dramatic, and advanced trades when I see it looking nasty like that. Okay, look at that. You get a bounce. You get a tick below the lows, and then another bounce. Like I said, I didn't screen this trade, so I'm getting a little. I'm not sure if this is going to be a winner, but off this high, first entry, when it breaks above, that's a second entry. We hit the low, reversed. Let's see if it comes and touches this other side. Oh, it doesn't. It just fails. That would have been a trade you lose if you take that trade. The only way you wouldn't have taken that trade is that you say, hey, we're moving down. It just made a new low. Even though it gives us this nice signal bar, we're still moving too far down. At this point of the day, we should only be looking for shorts. So even when we see the long setup, so that would have applied here and that would have applied there. Even when we see the long setups, we're just going to skip them until we get the short setup. I'm not going to go short there. Like I 100% never, ever, ever will I go short there. So we're just going to have to wait. Let's see if it keeps going. Yeah, I mean, if you would have went short there, you definitely get burned. At the lows, terrible idea. So look, we're still moving lower. We're still just creeping on down. It's pretty hard to find good trades today. Okay, a little first entry short right there. Got to move higher. Oh, we're getting a little push now. See now, look how things have changed. We're getting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 closes above the EMA, breaking old highs. This now, I would go ahead and give this one also a micro trend and use that as my guide. If it's going to keep going higher, let's see if this line holds it. See, like that's a great example of what I mean. Once it touched that line, you get this huge buying bar. That's great. There's a trade I missed right here. If you zoom in, you can see that we had a new low. It tried to go lower once. It crosses our EMA. It holds. It tries to go lower twice. Never gets lower. Once it breaks above, the only reason why this is aggressive is that there's 3 matching tops. Sometimes that doesn't end very well. But you could have entered on those highs or one tick, and you got in and out. Okay. It doesn't go far, That's a great thing is that whenever that's not always the case, but a lot of times when you see a super aggressive trade or something like that, yeah, you might get a scalp, but it's pretty rare that they like. All I'm saying is that if you're patient, the market is efficient, and it will give you a good trade that gives you a good profit margin if you can wait for it and not get caught up just being dumb in here and forcing stuff like forcing stuff down here, Just be patient and wait. Okay. We got a lower high, but we're still moving up on here. I need to see a third push up and a reversal before I start trying to go short. So let's just wait. Man, if you're a gangster, you're going to go long there, but I don't think I'm gangster today. And then when you see this short, this one, I get it kind of a risky vibe on this one, but yeah, so let's do an experiment. So on this, I've started to make a rule that if I see 3 inside bars, see how this bar, the open, the close, are the same as this bar, and then this bar is inside of this one and this one. That for me means that that's an area of congestion. It's a little tiny itty bitty range right there. So when you see that, I'm expecting prices to bounce in between here, right? So going short here is a little aggressive. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. In the context of today, though, see how we're kind of moving down? I'm going to go ahead and just go with it. And it's a small bar. It's only like 3 ticks. So small risk. Let's see if we get the scalp. Damn, and you don't. Yeah, I mean, that's what happens. And, you got to be really careful about these areas. Yeah, it's, and that's the key, right? So even now, as I do this review, I kind of learn things, and it's kind of back to what I was just saying. When you follow your technical rules, you might miss certain moves, like, you might miss this big crazy move or something like that, but it'll keep you on the right side segment, right? There are always reasons to go long, always reasons to go short. The trade you wanted to take is this long. Given we broke outside, tried to go higher once. This is our nice signal bar to the high. It's still above the EMA. It's sitting on it a little bit. That's the trade you wanted. This trade right here is kind of like the fake out. Just food for thought. Okay, and we pull back. And today was a long video. Today was really just a lot of congestion. I don't know. That's why I say when I go bar by bar, it takes forever to do this. My computer is about to explode. I think also another thing that I'm looking at is that this trend line could be a little lower, maybe down there. Or the angle is off, but I'm just going to move it there for now. And so the fact that we didn't get up here and we're starting to make lower lows from this swing and that swing, let's see if we get a short setup. Not a good signal bar, not a good trigger bar. Too close to the lows. Yeah, a lot of price movement, not that many great trades. So we're going to skip going short there. Now we need to wait for a pullback to see if we can get short again. Well, there's our pullback. That's cool. Okay, finally. Now we're touching our line. We finally get to our line. Now you want to start to get, I want to say aggressive, but if you see a good signal bar in a short, shit, swing on it. Even though you have a red bar, let's take a moment to review. It's because this red bar broke lower than this bar. This red bar is our trigger bar. The signal bar is this bar, and that's bullish. So I would not enter there. Sure, you can. I think it's kind of like your odds go 50-50 when you start to do things like that. If you wait, your odds are like more like 80-20. So I'm going to wait. But that's just kind of why, even though you see this red bar, and I've talked about how we need to wait for it to come back up here, this technically is not the setup we're looking for yet. And just to kind of give that more context is that there's a micro trend right there because we were below the EMA, we closed above the EMA and closed above a previous swing. So there's a little trend there. It's going to break outside. Let's see if it goes higher and then comes back down. Boom. Boom. Exactly. I did not pre-screen that. It happens so often that I think you just learn to just wait. A lot of weak traders and impatient traders entered there and they got burned, only for it to come back down, maybe eventually. That's a good signal bar. You might take this trade. It's aggressive. You might take that though. Yeah, so that trade's working. It might not go very far though, but now you got the lower high, but once again, it's kind of the same thing as this lower high bar triggered before a signal was good. It's not a good signal bar. So if you didn't enter there, I don't think you're thinking about entering there. And another issue is like that's a huge bar. So it's like it didn't set up right and it's huge. It's like two negatives. I wouldn't go short there. So if you're in here, you're still in. If you're waiting, you're gonna keep waiting for a little bit. Yeah, see, and it would have kind of bounced on you and then came back down. Then bounced. Wow, this is nasty. See, once again, once you start seeing this nasty stuff, you know what I mean? Just go to the highs, go to the opens and the closes, put a line there, copy and paste it, and you can just go to the lowest. I go to the first couple ones, and I like how that one also matches down over there too. And so right there, treat this area the same way you would treat a range. Short up here, we're not going to really worry about going long. So just short up here. Let's break. Not a good signal bar. But it's a first entry. There'll be another chance if it sets up. It doesn't really set up. It's kind of a breakout short. Not a good signal bar. Prices are making higher highs. Not interested yet. Not interested, just didn't set up right. And that's the end of the day. That's 12 o'clock. I'm telling you, yeah, today was a tricky day. Today was a tricky day. But you know, the price action pretty much either kept you out of bad trades or helped you find a couple good ones. I mean, the only one we really lost was this one. And there were a lot of reasons why maybe you shouldn't have taken it. But at least the price action will keep you on the right side most of the times. So that is going to be the bar by bar for today. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have questions, comment, email, DM, I don't care. Ask away. All right, guys, I'm gonna see y'all later.